especially with the arms, doesn't it?
It's usually quite a lot on.
Did you get in a teaching fellowship?
My name is Alan McGregor. I live in Glamis, which is a small village in Scotland, with my parents and a twin brother, as well as an older brother. I have cerebral palsy. This makes it impossible for me to speak conventionally and difficult for me to walk. Originally, my parents were told by their doctor that my disabilities would not enable me to walk. But seeing two brothers running around, I wanted to join them. So I learned to walk in my own way. I have had cerebral palsy all my life. This affects the amount of control I have over all my muscles, including those of speech. But I can see, hear, walk, swim, drive a car, and communicate in other ways, such as using sounds, signs, and a word board that I point to. So really, I am no different from you. Just a case of the spirit is willing, but the flesh tends to let me down occasionally. I do have a portable speaking machine. It can say words and short phrases.
I'm very glad to be here. I imagine you are wondering how this system works which I'm using to speak to you. I need a system which helps me to communicate, and which is easy to operate. It may take a minute, but we'll get there. To speak to you I am using a computer. This is connected to a speech synthesizer, or artificial voice. The program on the computer is one I am helping to develop at Dundee University. The system is called Floor Grabber because it allows me to grab the floor and communicate with people. It is fairly easy to give a speech with this program, and the system is being developed to help direct conversation. There can be problems with people not understanding how the methods work, though. Sometimes people actually pick up my word board and look at it with interest, and then ask me questions about it, and they are still holding on to my word board. They are wanting me to speak, but it is like they are holding on to my tongue. I would like to tell you what it's like being a non-speaking person. Sometimes I feel sad, because I have difficulty in communicating. People tend not to speak to me. I think they are a bit afraid. They are afraid it will be too difficult to communicate with me. They think I can't have a good time. Just because I can't talk doesn't mean I can't think. If you take the time to talk to us, you may discover something wonderful. I don't think people mean to be bad. I try to put myself in their place. I can see how it would be difficult for me if I was in their position. Perhaps disabled people could lead the way, and teach the able-bodied how to acknowledge them as equal human beings. Disability is a challenge to be met by those who face it, and is only a barrier in the minds of those who don't understand. It can be beaten. The issue is not about a medical condition. It is about people and humanity. Failure to communicate and understand is disabling. Take the time to say hello.
Yeah, it's not the medical conditions that disables people. It's the way other people react to disability.
When I first met Alan, his outward appearance, the lack of control of some of his muscles, in some ways frightened me. But once I got to know Alan, I realised that underneath this all was a sensitive, lively, humorous laddie with a marvellous sense of humour that was trying to get out and tell us something. And Alan has probably taught me much more than I have taught him. Just his real enthusiasm. We get people that have all the facilities and they moan and whine, but you never hear Alan moaning and whining. He tries to get on with things and live life as it should be. He's a tremendous inspiration to me, and I'm very, very happy that I've met him and got to know him the way I have. I regard Alan as a friend.
I got to know him through LEAD, which is Education for the Disabled, and it's a voluntary organisation. And they said that somebody was wanted at the university to help Alan. When I first met him, I was a bit anxious because I felt I wasn't going to be able to understand what he said at all. I thought, gee, I have no experience of this. Kids in the classroom I can understand, but I didn't think I would be able to get the information from him at all. But I found it surprisingly easy.
Alan, I've always felt Alan is a remarkable communicator, which is ironic because he can't speak, but he's very good at communicating and very good at getting across to people and striking up relationships and conversations with people, even though he can't speak. He's very good at this. And so that makes it a little bit easier for people to themselves make the move. I think people are a little bit frightened and nervous about dealing with people with disabilities. And frightened doesn't overstate it, really, because they can kind of avoid it. But Alan makes it, along with a lot of other people who are skilled, like Alan is at communicating and getting on with the rest of us, Alan makes it easier for us. But, but once you get to communicate with Alan, you realize he's got an awful lot to say, although it doesn't come out in the normal way and just words out of his mouth.
I think the public's attitude towards people with disabilities could change. I think it's a case of what they don't know, they just don't want to learn about. Just leave well alone, rather than finding out, yes, they have the same problems, the same ambitions as everyone else. They just have a disability. That's all that's different.
I am always hoping that people will try to speak with me even though it's difficult. I am also nervous about speaking with people, but I do try. When I'm with other people, and they are all speaking away to each other, I am left out of it. I sometimes feel as if I must have two heads. It makes me feel quite lonely at times, even when I'm with other people. I get angry sometimes, and frustrated, when the word I want to say is not on my word board, especially if people ask me questions which are difficult to answer with the word board. Everyday things that other people do not think about are difficult. Communication is the greatest problem. In the future, I know that things are going to get better. Technology is on my side. It would be good if there was a machine that could be handheld, then I could have near normal speech always with me. I am very interested in music. There is one thing I find which really helps me when I'm feeling bad. I find that music has a lot of power to make you feel better. One of my interests is writing songs. I have written a number of them. At the moment, not a lot of disabled people take part in music. I would like to see this change. Disabled people can have just as much music inside them as anybody else. I have written a number of songs with the help of the music teacher at the McKinnon Centre in Dundee. The previous teacher taught me to write the words for my songs, and I am now learning with a new teacher to write the music through a computer.
My name's Brian Hutton, and I'm a skills officer in this centre, which is the McKinnon Centre. And as a skills officer specialising in mainly music, my role is to encourage creativity and expression wherever possible, and to find realistic ways of overcoming any physical restrictions or lack of confidence the individual may experience. I've known Alan approximately 3 years now, and in the time I've known him, he's begun to recognise and act upon the importance of utilising his own ideas and developing them into coherent and listenable instrumental pieces. His understanding of rhythm has recently been advanced through involvement with a percussionist, and he's now ready to more fully explore and learn about chord structure and melody. Musical composition has given Alan a medium through which he can express his thoughts and feelings, and has also allowed him a creative outlet which has been vital to increasing the confidence he has in his own potential abilities. All this ultimately leads to a more fulfilled and ever-enriched life. The most common assumption held by the general public is probably the assumption that anyone with a physical disability also has an accompanying learning disability. This of course is entirely untrue, and people with a physical disability are constantly being put in a position of having to challenge this commonly held public opinion.
As well as my music, another important thing to me is helping out with the research at Dundee University. We are working on new ideas to help non-speaking people to communicate. It is a very difficult problem. We hope some of the ideas we are working on will help. In our research work at the Micro Centre, we are trying to help non-speaking people tell their stories. The idea is to store lots of things they may want to say in the future in such a way that they can find them easily when they are wanted. We are hopeful, but there is a long way to go.
Okay, so we want to talk about the ECART conference coming up in Portugal, quite an important European conference, and we normally get a bunch of papers into that. So we thought, rather than wait till the last minute, we'd try to do a bit of planning this time and check it out in advance and see what people had in mind. And Alan, I know you were thinking about putting a paper as well. I mean, What you're thinking about now?
I think I could make a paper for Portugal on my thoughts of the future. Maybe talk about 4 things. Tell them about the methods I have used in the past, like the word board. We could dream a little and imagine the future equipment. As part of this work, I have enjoyed traveling to see new communication systems and learn about new developments. I am involved with an international organization for non-speaking people. It is called Isaac. Isaac brings together lots of people concerned with improving things for non-speaking people. I have also been involved in giving lectures about the experience of being non-speaking. So far this has involved going to Sweden, Canada and the US. Last year, I gave a talk and chaired a meeting at the Isaac Conference in Holland. I have lectured in New York, North Carolina, Salt Lake City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Toronto. I have spoken to groups ranging from those with disability, researchers, and even young offenders in South Central LA. The Isaac organization is very keen to get more non-speakers involved in actually running it, and I have been encouraged to get more involved. I'm not sure about this at the moment, but we'll see. I need to put most of my energy just now into my swimming, I think. I would like to tell you now about my ideas for communication systems of the future. Some people hope that in the future a computer system might be able to read your thoughts for you. I would be in trouble all the time, especially if a pretty girl walked past. What I would like to see would be a machine small enough to be strapped to the back of your arm, rather like a watch. It would also have some sort of speaking attachment. This would ideally be carried in the area of the shirt collar. Speaking would come as near as possible from the throat. The computer would have interchangeable disks according to the conversation, and it might even be persuaded to print money as well, ha ha ha. I would like to tell you something about one of my hobbies. I take part regularly in swimming competitions for disabled people. I swim for the Scottish team. I have been to Belgium, Holland, the US, and Spain for international competitions. At the World Championships, I won 2 gold medals and I established a new world record for the 50 meters backstroke. 1992 was a good year for my swimming. I was accepted to take part in the Paralympics, where I won 3 bronze medals. Maybe I will go to the next Olympic Games in 1996 in America to try for some gold medals for swimming. This will mean that I will have to keep the training up. No computer can do that for me.
Alan is a very serious sportsman. He takes his training very seriously. Out of season we do about 3 times a week, and as we're building up towards major competition we do 5 times a week, and if he doesn't get his 5 times a week he's not quite unhappy, but he doesn't like to miss a training session.
to be truthful, I don't think anybody probably was aware of how difficult it was for the parents, because they're the sort of people that make problems seem easy because they're so good at them. And the way they dealt with it seemed to everybody else that I don't think it was too much of a problem. And they quietly got on with doing all the right things. And of course the wonderful part was when they discovered what a good swimmer Alan was. And I know his father Ron used to get up extremely early in the morning to take him for swimming practice before work, and that means great dedication, because I think that meant very, very early starts for a great many years.
His enthusiasm for everything was quite unbelievable. His success in his swimming, his participation in just all sorts of things, and particularly in life, was quite endearing.
It's uphill. It's hard. But as I say, he's just so determined. He doesn't give up. He won't take no for an answer. He'll just keep going.
So it became very clear to me what absolutely wonderful parents he had, because from the very beginning they took it in the best possible way. They treated him just like any other child, but he had all the care and the love and the special attention which any child could have needed. And I think from that, Alan has grown into this very remarkable person that we all know today.
Alan's quite difficult to describe, but at the same time he's just... he's got very strong opinions about lots of things. He's... I really don't know how I could describe him at all. He's just very, very determined. If someone says, no, you can't do that, he'll just go around and prove them wrong that you can do it, like learning to drive. I know that when he first started to learn to swim, he absolutely hated it. He had to be thrown in and basically kept there until he had to. Luckily, I wasn't around when that happened. But just if anybody says, no, you can't do that, he'll just go out and say, so what? I have a disability. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just going to prove them wrong.
I have difficult times in my life, but I feel that I must not give up fighting. In the future, I hope to meet someone special who can share my interests and with whom I could settle down. These things take time, and I am still young. This is my world. I must make the best of what I have. The most difficult thing to live with is the loneliness and other people's ignorance of cerebral palsy and any disability. I would like people to learn more about the effects of all disabilities. People are becoming more aware, but there is a long way to go. I hope that lectures like these will go towards helping people to understand the pain I feel and the hard times we disabled people have. I hope people will also understand the hope we have through communication. For non-speaking people, I have 3 messages. 1 is not to give up the fight. Next, I feel a lot of things are happening. With the development of new ideas, such as floor grab, the future is on our side. Finally, we should not feel defeated. Tomorrow can be an adventure with ups and downs, but we can try to achieve positive things for ourselves and others. In the beginning, people believed I would be incapable of so many things. I have swum for my country and become a world champion, toured the world giving lectures, and help in the development of computer systems to help non-speakers communicate. Each day I ask myself, what am I doing tomorrow, and know that it is something good. Well, that is about it. I have appreciated the opportunity to speak to you. I hope you have found it interesting. I hope my talk can help people face their futures better and have less pain in their life. I hope with talks like this eventually the person in the street will start to understand disability. Thank you for your time.
Great. Can we do that again? Right, yeah. So, what we do next, I wonder?